I was very observant as a child. It seemed like everywhere I looked, every corner I looked, people were unhappy. Unhappy with their careers, their jobs, their spouse, their day-to-day life. Everything about their life seemed to cause some form of complaint in them. And now this may have just been the environment that I was exposed to, but I'm sure a lot of you can resonate, especially with the negativity bias that our brains default to. We tend to pick up on the negative things the most. And with that, I knew that there had to be a better way of living. I knew deep down that that wasn't the default outcome of everyone's life. That shouldn't be the default outcome of everyone's life. So why would I try to emulate or follow that path? So taking matters into my own hands seemed to be the only option. Personal responsibility, self-education, and everything that involved making my own decisions became a very big priority of mine when I was under 20 years old. If everyone was doing something, I wanted to do the opposite. If everyone wanted to retire at 65, I wanted to retire at 30. If everyone wanted to sit on the couch and watch TV at night, I would either go to the gym at night, or I would sit in my room and watch YouTube videos that aren't just mindless, and they were educating me on something to increase my skill set so I didn't get stuck in a low skill labor job that are consistently being phased out. And the same goes with watching the news and just keeping up with the Kardashians, staying informed on everything. It wasn't appealing to me. Instead, I wanted to develop my own skill set. I wanted to read books. I wanted to get my information from somewhere, because I made the connection that the information that everyone is consuming, if everyone is consuming the same information and it's leading to this specific outcome in life, then why would I consume that specific information? Now, there was a default path that I actually looked forward to, and that was going to college. Everyone tells you to go to college, so I have my own views on college, but I saw the positives in it. I was kind of aware at a young age that I didn't need to go to college if I wanted to make some form of an income. I knew that I don't have to rely on anyone, and I don't think anyone should rely on external circumstances to dictate the outcome of their future. That includes college and everything else. But with the boom of education on the internet, it just became, eventually that's what I supplemented my learning with. But the main reason I went to college was to delay the time that I had to avoid getting a 9-to-5, because that's the exact thing. Again, I have nothing against 9-to-5s, but at the time, they were the bane of my existence. I wanted to avoid them at all costs because it's what everyone else was doing. So as soon as I stepped foot on the college campus, I knew that the countdown had begun from the time that I had to work and build a name for myself and build some form of a business, or accept my demise once those 4 years come to an end and get a nice job on something that I'm interested in, and whatever it may be. That's why I went to college, was to kind of test the waters and get a formal education, or at least try and learn some things that I was interested in. I never really did it for the money. Originally, I wanted to go into neuroscience because every kid wants to make $300,000 a year at a job, but then that eventually became less appealing, and then it's like, oh, do I want to go into engineering? Do I want to do this, that? And I ended up starting out in business. Met a bunch of great people there, and during that time, that's when I started my first attempt at a business, which was a fitness YouTube channel, because all of my time before that was dedicated to fitness and the gym. It was a very big interest of mine, and it just made sense. Why would I not turn something that I'm very passionate about into a business when I'm quite literally following the people and getting my advice from the people that do that as a business, right? That's a connection that a lot of people don't make, is if you are studying someone that talks about something that you are deeply interested in, and they are doing that as a job, you may not see on the front end that it is an actual business, but it is. And that means that you can also do that too if you have that same level of expertise as them. It's like, I was sitting there thinking, okay, these guys, I know everything that these guys are talking about. I'm pretty damn good at all of I have a lot of fitness knowledge. Why would I not start a YouTube channel? Because I learned it from someone else? Because the information came from someone that's already doing it? Okay, that's how you learn things. You learn things from someone else, and then you go on to pass that information on. That's intelligent imitation, which we have talked about in a previous video. Now, a few months after creating 10,000 calorie challenge videos and general lifting videos, some vlogs, other food challenges and things like that, we decided to call it quits. We saw some growth. We started to understand social media in general, like how to actually gain followers by, let's say, one of the tactics is commenting on other platforms' accounts to kind of leverage their audience and grow. But eventually we just kind of stopped. I did it with a friend at the time, and it was just taking up too much time. So from that, I kind of dropped business for a bit and started studying. I definitely partied more. I got the college experience, and that was all fun and great. And now around that time, I remember there's a deeper story to this, but one night, my friends and I, we went up to the parking garage across the street from our dorms to smoke some weed because my roommate had just gotten broken up with from his girlfriend who lived in Utah. So he was down. Someone told him, hey, just go smoke some weed. You'll be fine. I remember that quote vividly where he's like, no, bro, you'll go smoke some weed. You'll be fine. And so we went up to the parking garage and we started smoking. And then eventually this bicycle cop showed up behind us, and my friend Nick at the time was like, guys, there's a cop behind us. And we're like, no, we're high out of our minds. And it's like, no, dude, don't play like that. That's not funny. And then I look in my rear view mirror and there's a cop writing down my license plate. And so I'm like, oh shit. And so we end up getting out, and he sits us all on the floor, handcuffs us, figures out that it was the majority of the actual substance and the paraphernalia that went along with that was mine and my roommates. And so they took us to the police station, they booked us, they took our fingerprints. We didn't stay overnight, but that's a long story short. We ended up going home, and I thought we were fine. He interrogated me for a while, and he's trying to get me to tell him who gave us the actual weed, and ended up just going home. And then I thought I was in the clear, but then when I went home for the summer to work my lifeguard job, thought things were going great. It was completely out of my mind. I didn't even remember it anymore. And I got a letter in the mail, and thank goodness that my parents weren't home at the time. But I got home from work, I opened the mail, got it, saw it was from the court. My heart immediately sunk into my stomach, and I opened it, and I was just defeated because it gave me two options. It said, you can either you can either go to court and try to defend your case and potentially be convicted of a felony. And as a 18, 19-year-old kid, that's pretty scary, especially someone who has been a scholar, not even a scholar, but I took my schooling seriously. I took my life seriously at that point. So it was very threatening to me. And the second option it gave me was to go to a diversion class where you show up every week. They text you around, you have a color that you're assigned, and they text you every morning what colors have to go in and pee in a cup and get tested for 6 months. And that thing costs $5,000 to $10,000, something like that. So that's a lot of money for a college student. So overall, neither of those options sounded great, and I was just defeated. It's I'm screwed. I do not know what to do now. And around this time, I was following Matt Ogus, who is a fitness influencer. He was very big in the OG fitness days, and he recommended the book, The Power of Now. And as many of you know, I recommend this book time and time again, because this was the catalyst to it all. I believe this is one of the first self-help or spirituality books that I read. And when I read it, and since I was in such an emotional rut at the time, all of the words spoke to me. That was when I started to understand the power of spirituality, because once I read that book and dissected it and just my eyes were glued to the page, my worries kind of vanished. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't bad. Like I can deal with this when the time comes. And so after that, I kind of regained my drive and I started creating YouTube videos from my house over the summer with my phone. And so I created like acne videos. I created talking head videos on self-improvement and spirituality, kind of like Elliot Hulse, where I was in my garage trying to be like a tough alpha male and give like these harsh truth pieces of advice. And it was kind of funny. I wish I still had those videos, but I don't. So I've been trying and failing at this for a long time, and that's a common theme here. So in my sophomore year, I decided to switch things up. I'm very big on trying everything, literally everything, doing everything, experiencing everything. And rather than, because it's common advice like, oh, pick one thing and focus on that forever. And that's a good advice, but not forever, because you need to pick one thing and focus on it to the point of where you can accurately determine whether you are truly interested in that or not, whether you are passionate about it, whether it fuels you, whether you can see yourself doing that for a long time. You can't just spend one day doing it and expect to be passionate about it, but you can't spend your entire lifetime doing something that you don't enjoy. So during college, I switched majors. Over the summer, I switched different interests. When I got to sophomore year, as we're talking about now, I got more into photography, right? I bought a camera to help with YouTube videos. I stopped doing the YouTube videos again and was like, oh, I should probably do something with this. So I picked up photography. I watched some YouTube videos on how to do it. And I just spent my time like walking around town, taking pictures of like the streets, landscape photography, portrait photography. And the main thing here is I didn't really care for the photography. I cared a lot about the editing. So that's what sent me down a rabbit hole of Photoshop. And now this also stresses the importance of why trying different things are so important, because how in the world could I know that I was very passionate and interested in editing as opposed to, say, photography, without actually diving into photography first, right? There are certain things that you have to try and become exposed to when and if you want to find that thing that you're truly interested in. So during this time, I'll throw up some images and kind of cycle through them where this is what I created. I would spend 6 to 8 hours in my room just in flow state, listening to music, jamming out, creating these images. And you can see them here where they were very surreal and they were just mashed up composites of some of my own photos and then stock photos. And I started posting these on Instagram, and I grew pretty quickly because this also helped me understand social media and leveraging other people's audiences to grow, because there were community pages they only posted photographers' work, right? And if you tag them or use a hashtag, they would pick from hashtags and people adding them and post it to their page of like 300,000 to 1 million followers. And if they tag me in that, then it's like, oh yeah, I'll get some of these followers. So that made sense to me, and that's what I focused on. I focused on high quality content, so the images, my edits, and getting those in front of people, and that's how I grew. That's how I gained like my first 2,000 followers until, common theme here, I stopped doing the editing and photography. But it taught me very important skills like design, image composition, color theory that transferred over into everything that I'm doing now. That's one thing that a lot of people miss, is that if you try and fail and start over, you're still picking up valuable skills because everything interconnects. So let's go through the other business models that I failed along the way, because so far we've got YouTube twice, we've got the photography, the digital art, and with the digital art, I stopped doing that because I didn't know how to monetize it. If I were to go back now with my marketing and sales and course building knowledge, I could easily build a course that teaches other people how to actually make those composites. And I could, is that not the dream? Is that not what everyone's trying to do here? Where I get to do what I love, so create these edits and teach other people how to do that. And it's supply and demand, it's interests. That's what all of this is about, is doing something that impacts my life on a deep level and makes me happier, and teaching other people how to do that and letting the people that are interested in doing that do it through my course. And that's how I earn an income. So the next business model that I failed with was a Facebook ads agency, right? I was young and I was looking up on my phone like, oh, how can I make 6 figures online? And I came across this course. It was a decent course. I don't think it's up anymore. It was Billy Wilson's 6-figure agency course. And it was good. It was a really good course, and it taught me a lot about lead generation, advertising, copywriting, all of that fun stuff. And I ended up sending maybe 10 to like 50 cold emails. I didn't close any clients. Ended up giving up on that and just going into something else. And then the next thing was a drop shipping rave store, like rave clothing, because I liked going to festivals at this time. I was very big into EDM and going and having a good time at a festival. And I knew that target audience like the back of my hand. I knew exactly what people wore to raves, and I knew exactly how they were promoted because I was so immersed in the industry. That's another business lesson for you, is if you want to be able to market accurately to a specific audience, you need to immerse yourself in that audience. I could sell, if you don't go to festivals or raves or whatever it may be, and you want to sell something to those people, I have a leg up on you because I already go. I am the market research at that point. So with the drop shipping, I took a course on that as well. It helped me understand branding. It helped me understand how to set up a store, how to actually get products shipped from China. And I used my Facebook ads knowledge from the previous course to try and sell these things. And there's a picture of one of the products that I sold, which was like a bra, and it was all like diamondy and flashy. And I ended up selling nothing, as the theme with all of this goes. All right, so this is where things get interesting. This is where I started with web design. And a lot of you know me, where when I first started my brand online and actually started growing, it was because I had success with freelance web design, but I failed with it before. So at this time, when I started getting into freelance web design, I was living with 6 other guys in a big like old frat house in the like near the college in Arizona. I went to ASU, and it was just 6 dudes that I met in the dorms and everywhere else. It was a big beaten down house. There was an upstairs, a downstairs. There was 2 master bedrooms that people split down the middle, and people like slept on opposite sides. It was a great time. It was definitely an experience for a young college kid. I couldn't do that now. I would absolutely hate it now, but it was an absolutely fun time during this time. So this was a time where I was close to a junior in college, and I took I don't know where I was in college at this point, but the timeline's all fuzzy here because I don't really do this often. But this is when I took an intro to web development class, and I went to those classes and I learned the basics of HTML and CSS in like the first 2 classes. But then this is when I became extremely interested and obsessed with coding itself. I saw so much opportunity for it because it's like I can get a job without a degree. I don't have to get like a crazy 9-to-5 or like a corporate 9-to-5. I can work and do like creative coding work. This job seems amazing. And so that got me interested, very interested. And I would spend my time after school just taking courses. This taught me the value in self-education more than I already had that solidified in my head, where I have to be continuously learning and building projects on my own outside of school, outside of work, whatever it may be. There has to be something that I can dedicate my time to, and that gives me that intrinsic energy. So spent my time after college studying, learning how to code. And the beautiful thing about self-education is that I learned the entire course's curriculum, the college course's curriculum, in like 3 weeks just by studying on my own. And I didn't show up to the class at all, and I still got an A. So when I think of it, I believe that was my junior or senior year, but I knew that time was running out. It's either I need to make something work now in order to secure my future, or I'm screwed and I'm gonna end up like everyone else, like I prefaced this video with. So now I had a lot of skills under my belt, a lot of skills. So I decided to start an Ecom brand, e-commerce brand, and I ended up starting 2 of them. So the first one, since I was into web development and I was immersed again, immersed in that market, so to say. I knew that market like the back of my hand. I could market to them well. And I knew that developers were very passionate about their work. So I decided to start a blue light glasses brand. And now, because developers, they stare at a screen all day, it only makes sense that a blue light glasses brand would sell very well to them. And so at this time, I had this brilliant idea. I called my dad and I'm like, hey dad, what's going on? I have this brilliant idea and it's going to make me a millionaire. You want to send me over a few $1,000s so I can buy a product? And of course, like I wasn't expecting him to say yes, but he said yes. He believed in me. Like this was the first time where someone, like I had an argument and I had an idea that actually made sense to the point where he would invest in my business. And my dad isn't the wealthiest man alive. A few $1,000s is a lot of money to him. And it truly meant the world that he took that chance on me. And so I did everything in my power to make that work. I ordered the product. I made sure it looked good. I started setting up the store. I set up ads. I studied influencer marketing. And this is a picture of my first ad where you can see the glasses and you can see my hedgehog at the time, Momo. Rest in peace, Momo. He did not make it and he is not alive today. But long story short, I blew that $3,000 and didn't make it work. And in between the long shipping times for the product to actually get to me, packaging it all up, and then trying to promote and advertise without much money, it just didn't work. And so now this taught me the value in building an audience where you don't have to rely on shoveling money into a furnace in order to actually test things out. You have an audience where you can test ideas via content, and then you can see what they actually want, and then you can create a product or service for them. So this sparked another major low point, like the time I got arrested and found The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. But it's like, I just wasted a bunch of money. I've tried all of these things. Like, is this actually going to work? Like, when will it work? I have all of this knowledge. I feel like I know quite a bit. Like, why can I not make this work? And so that put me into another, like, emotional rut in a sense. And it was around this time where I called my dad. I'm like, hey, wasted your money. Don't know what to tell you. And he pretty much told me, like, you have these web development skills. Like, you've been doing this for a long time. There has to be some kind of job that you can get now that is more higher paying than the one you currently have. And so that's when I started applying to web development jobs, and I ended up getting one at a web design agency. And so now with that money coming in, I had decent money coming in. It was like 60, 70,000 a year. And that's a lot of money for a person that is still in college. And that's when I dropped out, because it's like, why would I continue doing this when I'm making money and I want to spend my time elsewhere trying to build these businesses still? And so I started a wallet brand. This was the second e-commerce brand where I'll throw up pictures. These are the wallets that I made. I ordered them. I got professional pictures done. I did everything right. I felt like I did everything right. But then when it came time to promote, I just didn't do it. I don't know why. I got afraid or something, and I just didn't actually try and sell the wallets. I ended up just giving up. And this is when I started to go all in on freelancing, because I had some jobs coming to me here and there because I'd been putting my name out this entire time. And it's like, people knew that I did SEO. People knew that I did web design. People knew that I did Facebook ads and all of this other stuff. And so I had some clients coming to me here and there, but I really narrowed in on web design. And this is not to mention that I also failed at a content marketing agency, an SEO agency, and a few other things. I just tried everything, right? But they all complemented each other because they go hand in hand. And so while I was at the web design job, I started to make connections. It's like, okay, they have a marketing department. They have a sales department. Oh, like, this is how they actually deliver the work and keep track of the projects and all of this other stuff. And it started to make sense. And I started to form this foundation for a new freelancing business with web design. So once I had the idea of, or just was committed, like, okay, I have a lot of expertise in the web design, area. And so I just dedicated everything to that. My job was kind of cushy and I had a lot of time at work to do things. So that's when I was cold emailing people. That's when I was DMing people in like Facebook groups and all of the other lead generation methods that people teach you. I was walking into local businesses, talking to people. I was seeing like cars where they advertise their business on the actual car, and I was writing that down in my notes as I was driving so I could cold email them later and reach out to them on Facebook and all of this other stuff. And I ended up getting work from friends, family, and then like in the referral network, and I closed a few from like cold emails and other things like that. And I started consistently bringing in like 3 to 4 like $1,500 to $2,500 web design deals consistently. And then at this point, I kind of realized that web design itself, it's a very good thing to start out with, but you can make it more powerful by learning offer creation. And so this is when I learned offer creation and started to tailor a service to a specific type of business. And I chose service businesses, which is something like pest control or what would you say, accounting, consultancies, all of that stuff. And I created a simple funnel for them. So instead of a full website, it was a landing page with an opt-in and then emails on the back end to sell them and follow up with them to get them booked as a client, right? And I even offered Facebook ads on top of this to kind of help drive traffic to the landing page that I gave them. But all of this together during this time allowed me to pull in my first 6 figures while freelancing. So this is when I started growing my brand and my audience on Twitter. I had success with the freelancing. I was charging like $2,500 to $5,000 for that service funnel and possibly ads on top of it as an upsell. And I had a lot to offer. And I saw someone selling a freelancing product on Twitter and talking about their interests and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, why wouldn't I be able to do that? That looks fun. And so I spent my time just like, again, in monk mode, getting obsessed with creating this ebook. And I created a freelancing ebook that gave people the basics of freelancing. And then eventually went on to create a complementary web design product with that. But the first ebook that started pulling in around $3,000 a month on top of what I was making with client work on Twitter. And so I saw the power in that. I networked, I did all the other stuff, all of the stuff that I teach in Modern Mastery HQ, where YouTube subscribers, you guys can get, you can join for $5 using the link in the description for that. But eventually I created these just different products that built off of one another and worked into each other. And during this time I was growing. I grew to like 10,000 followers, and I was still landing clients on Twitter because creators and consultants and other things are service businesses. So I just took my offer and positioned it towards people on Twitter and grew an audience. And eventually I was able to create this self-sufficient audience and content ecosystem that brought in clients. It started making sales for me. And eventually I continued to pivot, and I started a consulting service, and I eventually hit 100,000. And then I branched out to Instagram. I hit 200,000 there recently. And it's just been 2 to 3 years of like iterating on these products and seeing a lot of success, because the main thing is just building an audience and getting my name out there to more people, right? Because in real life, and when reaching out to people with like cold email, you're not really reaching out to a community or a network of people. And referrals are still a thing there. But when you have an audience and you build it to 20, 30, 50, 100K, that's 100,000 people that know exactly what you do, and they can refer people to you. And if you have the funnels in place, it just makes sense. You're in full control of your income over that at that time. So that is my story in a nutshell and how I got to where I am today. Now my main offerings are Modern Mastery, the community, and Digital Economics, which is a cohort. And then of course I still do some consulting on the side for marketing for like online service businesses, but mostly like one person service businesses. So like freelancers, coaches, creators, consultants. And yeah, so I want to end all of this with 7 lessons that I've learned, because it's just a story. I hope it was a bit inspirational, but I want to teach you the 7 lessons that I learned along the way. The first one being that nothing happens, then everything happens, or nothing makes sense, and then everything makes sense, because you're going to go through when you are going down this unconventional path, it's unpredictable. There's courses and other things that can teach you certain aspects of it, but most of it is dependent on your ability to self-educate and iterate and pivot and pick up specific knowledge along the way. It's like, as we always talk about, when you're exploring the unknown, you're kind of like collecting dots, right? You're collecting dots to a point where you can connect the dots, and then once you connect all of the dots, that's when things take off. So that leads into lesson number 2, which is figure it out. Stop relying on the external to give you what you want. If you don't have energy, then generate your own energy with purpose and passion and pursuing things that you're curious about. If you don't have an income, then take to the self-educate online and figure out how to fucking make an income. The third is, don't be afraid to start over. We talked about this a bit, but starting over on the unconventional path isn't starting over, right? You're consistently picking up information that is extremely valuable, and once those dots connect, when the dots connect of like starting over, and then it creates this way of doing things that is very unique to you that other people can't replicate. That is what you're looking for. So that leads into number 4, which is embrace the uncertain and unpredictable path, because nothing worth having is predictable, right? A predictable life is not a good or meaningful life. That means you are just living out the same actions day after day after day after day. There's nothing there that can create meaning or interest in your life, like in a story. A story isn't predictable. A story is like, okay, how's this battle gonna go? Who's gonna win this fight? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that? How is this story gonna end up? And that's what creates an interesting life for you if you approach it from a zoomed out lens or a sort of meta perspective, where you're able to stay present and view things for what they are, and not get so consumed by your emotions. Lesson number 5 is to try everything. People warn against shiny object syndrome, but I've never seen that to be the case. You have to try everything in order to see what sticks with you, right? As I said earlier, you can't figure out what you're actually interested in until you try something, figure out that you're not interested in it, and follow it down another path that is revealed because you tried that one thing. You have to try what you are aware of now in order to expand your awareness into these other areas that you had no idea existed before. Number 6 is give, give, give. You are not going to make it in this space if you need things, if you need the money, if you need the validation, or you need something external, right? If you are thinking about the money the entire time and you're like so dependent and fearful of losing that money or that client, you're going to do worse work. People are going to sense your neediness and you just aren't going to make it. So you need to get in the habit at the very start to give out free value. Quite literally DM people, be like, hey man, I saw you were working on this. Here's a few tips I wrote up. Oh, here, I built a landing page for you. Or just DM people, ask them to get on a call, and then help them, like give them advice, consult them for free on how to get something. Now, number 7 is shoot your shot and then shoot again, because I see this way too often, especially with people trying to land clients, is they'll send 5 to 10 DMs and they're like, I'm not making any money. This is bullshit. I'm not going to start. And I went through that too. But you have to understand that it's a game. It's a numbers game. And of course, like, you can step up your marketing or your sales or other knowledge in order to make that more effective. But it really is about just getting in front of the right people. It's about, you have your offer and you have traffic, right? So as J.K. Molina says, if your offer sucks, then it doesn't matter how much traffic you send to it, right? If you suck as a person and you're trying to go on dates and your offer sucks and you put yourself where a lot of people are, you're not going to get dates. You're not going to have that happy ending. But if you make the offer very good and then you put it into, you have a lot of traffic going to it, then you open yourself up to more luck, right? You need people to generate more luck or increase your chances of luck and landing that client. So when in doubt, build more leverage, get your name in front of more people, network with more people, build an audience, develop your skill set, all of the above. So that is my story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, consider liking the video, consider subscribing. There is a link to Modern Mastery, Digital Economics, my free planner, my free creative challenge, and a bunch of other things in the description if you want to check that out. But until then, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.